All right, welcome ladies and gentlemen to the regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council being called to order at 6:06 p.m. Madam Clerk, can you please take roll call?
Yes. Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Hassan Ahmad.
Here.
Mo Beydoun.
Here.
Nancy Breyer.
Here.
Robert Constant.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Tom Wenzel.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Next is we have our Pledge of Allegiance. This is going to be led by our City Engineer, Applebee.
Nice.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deep. Next up, and I've already spoken with Ray Muscat because we have an add-on. So Councilman Muscat, if you could read agenda approval, please.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the agenda for the regular meeting with the addition of 9A. Annapolis High School request permission to hold graduation parade on Friday, May 13th, 2022 at 1:45 p.m. as submitted.
Support. Would that be 9?
Okay, I was going to say it would be 9E probably.
9E.
We have 8C. It should be 8C.
8C, okay.
Because
Or
it's
8C,
presented by the
excuse me.
mayor.
Okay, you want to repeat that again, just in case, Councilman?
Okay.
Please?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the agenda for the regular meeting of May 10th, 2022 with the addition of 8A, Annapolis High School, permission to hold.
8C.
8C. Annapolis High School's permission to hold graduation parade, on Friday, May 13th, 2022 at 1:45 p.m.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat, supported by Councilman Beydoun. Is there any discussion on that? They're gonna go ahead and, he's gonna read the specifics a little bit later.
1:45 p.m.
Yeah,
This Friday.
May 13th at 1:45 p.m. Okay? So motion made by Councilman Muscat, supported by Councilman Beydoun. Is there any discussion on the agenda approval? Hearing none, let's go ahead and take this to a vote. All in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
Council Chair,
Councilman Beydoun.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 26, 2022 as outlined in 4A.
Support.
Motion made by Councilman Beydoun, supported by Councilman Ahmad. Is there any discussion on approval of the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is public hearings and comments on agenda items only. And again, this is just on agenda items. If you have something that's not an agenda item, if you have something that's not an agenda item, please wait until later on during the public comments. You will have 2 minutes to speak on agenda items. Please state your name, city, and street you live on. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Steve Pop. I live on Timber
Steve.
Trail, Dearborn Heights. Hi. And I am here to address, I'm also an Act 78 commissioner, so everybody knows. I am here to address.
Steve, if I could interrupt you for just a second. So I always ask every city official in one form or another that question. Are you speaking as an Act 78 official or are you speaking as a resident? I always ask that just so it's fully disclosed.
Doesn't make a difference.
It could.
Okay.
Whatever you prefer. Either way is fine by me.
As a resident.
Okay, thank you.
Just on 8B, Act 78, Police and Fire Civil Service Commission appointment, I don't actually have any problem with the mayor's role in appointing the new commissioner. As a matter of fact, being a commissioner, I know myself and the other commissioner, Steve Lopkovich, are actually looking forward to having a full commission and getting things back to normal. But my understanding is the mayor intends on appointing him as president of the Civil Service Commission, and the role of officers being elected in the Civil Service Commission is that of the 3 Civil Service Commissioners. We elect our own officers, and so he can appoint, you can approve as commissioners, but I believe, according to Act 78, that it is our role to elect the president and the secretary from the 3 members of the Act 78 Commission.
Okay? I tell you from my end, Steve, that's one of the questions I was going to be asking as far as who has the right to do that. So thank you for bringing that up, and hopefully administration and our corporation counselor can answer that, because that was one of the questions I had myself.
And I'm sure that'll be done the next meeting. We'll deal with it.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service, too.
Thank you.
Any other public hearings and comments on agenda items?
If I may.
Come on up.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm Ryan Murad. I'm a life resident here in the city of
You
Dearborn
guys
Heights.
stay close to the microphone, sorry.
I'm a life resident here in the city of Dearborn Heights. I grew up on Dockstader Street. I'm a Riverside Raven, a Crestwood Charger, and I believe that I may be up for an appointment to the Act 78 Commission today. I just wanted to introduce myself and advise that I'm super excited to serve my city and would love to help in any way I can.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Murad, appreciate it. Anyone else on agenda items? Okay, hearing none, is there anybody on Zoom with questions or comments on agenda items? Do you see anyone, Madam Clerk? I don't see nobody myself.
I don't see any hands raised.
One just went up.
Oh, we do
Vince-
have one.
Vince's hand went up. Vince, you got that picture, I'm gonna kill you. Okay.
Let me
How am I supposed to keep a straight face after you put that picture up, Vince? But go ahead. For those, he's got the Three Stooges on there.
Where do you go? Oh, there he goes.
How am I supposed to keep a straight face after that? Go ahead, Vince.
Good evening, council members. Thank you. My name is Vince Drapkowski, Columbia Street, Dearborn Heights, Michigan, Wayne County. My question is regarding agenda item number 11A. Can Mr. Miyake explain what that is?
Okay, for those in the audience and maybe on Zoom, the one he's asking about is under 11A ordinances and resolutions. Corporation Counsel Miyake, resolution regarding recurring non-fee for services, non-tax revenue accountability. Corporation Counselor, I know later on we're going to go into a deeper dive into that, but so that at least the resident can have an opportunity in case he did have a question under this particular segment of the meeting, you might at least give him an abbreviation as to what that's about?
Yes, this is a resolution that was discussed with the council as a body to basically ensure some sort of accountability for not recurring, non-fee. Stand back. Oh, okay, all right. If anyone can't hear me, I guess I can speak up then. For recurring non-fee for services, non-tax revenue types of payments. So it's a way to make sure we don't have some problems that we've had in the recent past occur with respect to the use of the city properties, and to make sure that the council is informed in a reasonable way about this, and sets forth pretty detailed procedures with respect to that, namely the resolution does. I don't know that I really, it's single space, it's like 3 pages long, so it would probably make more sense for us to talk about it.
Right, we're gonna have a fuller discussion. The only reason I asked you to bring that up, at least right now, because Vince has got a question.
Sure.
In an event, he had a question on that particular agenda item, so he could have at least his opportunity as a resident. The plain English version of that is just making sure that we have a system in place for the city to get paid on buildings that they own and checks and balances. Hopefully that kind of gives you at least a wrap-up of it, Vince. Did you have a question on that agenda item, Vince?
He's muted. He's good, he said.
No, okay, so we're good. Anybody else on Zoom that has any question? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and go to the next section. Next section on our agenda is fund transfers and current claims.
Council Chair,
Councilman Ahmad.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve current claims 6-1 through 6-52 as submitted.
Okay. Support. Motion made by Councilman Ahmad, supported by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion on any of the items on 6-1 through 6-52?
Council Chair, you sound real loud, by the way.
No comment. Okay. Any questions on these? All right. Seeing none, motion made by Councilman Ahmad, supported by Councilman Baidoon, to approve the current claims 6-1 through 652. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 8A. This is reports from mayor. Item 8A, Highview Elementary School Color Run, Friday, May 27th, 2022.
Council Chair,
Councilman Ahmad.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council grant permission to Highview Elementary School to hold a color run on Friday, May 27, 2022, commencing at 2 p.m. The police chief and fire chief have approved the route and will provide any services they may require as outlined in 8-8.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad, seconded by Councilwoman Breyer. Is there any discussion on that? Just a quick comment. I thank Highview Elementary for putting on this particular event, and anytime this particular school and all the other schools throughout, these are all just great things for creating good bond between the residents, the neighborhoods, the administration. So good job, and especially for the principal of Highview Elementary, Mrs. Linda Talib. Good job.
Council Chair,
Yes, Council.
I had a question. So is this open to the public or just for the students?
Oh, I believe it's open to the public. Mayor, are you, or anybody aware of this? It is. I mean, when they do it, obviously, the public watching, yes, but as far as
Can we participate?
participating,
in the walk,
running,
or-
yeah, I'm not sure,
It's gotta
honestly.
be in a bunch of different colors, but yes.
Yeah, okay.
But if somebody would like, obviously, there's enough time. This is for Friday, May the 27th, so there's plenty of time to contact Highview Elementary. The principal there is Miss Linda Talib, and I'm sure she'll be able to, fill them in on that. Okay?
Thank you, Council.
So any other discussions on that? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 8B. This is Act 78, Police and Fire Civil Service Commission appointment.
Council Chair,
Councilman Baidoon.
with my honor to do this one, I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council concur with the mayoral appointment of Mr. Ra'ad Murad to Act 78 Police and Fire Civil Service Commission as president, term to expire November of 2023. This appointment is to replace Mr. Martin Crandall due to his resignation as outlined in 8B.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Baidoon, supported by Councilman Ahmad. Is there any discussion on that?
Yes, Council Chair. Go ahead.
Okay. When you say regular appointment, you're talking about like not a particular position? Okay. So that goes into, that was gonna be honestly my question. So, you made the motion, so you'd have to amend.
Yep, and so I amended to just to the commission, so where he's not titled as president.
Okay?
Or we can just amend it to, just as the commissioner, just take out the president. That's it.
Yeah, Commissioner.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay,
said, so you just
okay.
got a second.
Support.
Okay, so motion amended and made by Councilman Baidoon, supported with the amendment by Councilman Ahmad. Is there any discussion on that?
Council Chair.
Councilman Baidoon.
I know this was brought up to us at the last meeting, and then here we are today making this appointment. I want to thank Mr. Crandall for his services to the commission. I also want to congratulate Ra'ad, Ray, Ryan, Murad. I know this gentleman is going to do phenomenal work. He's definitely devoted his time to public service. He works in the courts day in and day out, standing up for what's right and for justice. And today he's about to be serving at the capacity from police and fire. Mr. Popoff, thank you for coming up over here. You're going to love this. Or Mr. Pop, I'm sorry. Ro is truly a decorated leader who's going to do phenomenal things with the city. So I ask you that you guys welcome him with open arms. And Ro, congratulations, brother.
Well, hold off on the congratulations. We got to vote on that. Okay. So, any other discussions on this? Just quickly, I just want to make sure, just so people are aware, or maybe I'm asking to the mayor directly. So the qualifications on this is, I know he's an attorney, so obviously that's good qualifications. Is there anything else you want to say in regards to the candidate? Okay.
Obviously, reputable attorney, and he's been a lifelong resident of the city, and he's well aware of the charter.
Okay, excellent. So lifelong, well, not life, career as an attorney and lifelong resident of the city. So, okay, good job. Any other discussions on this? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations. All right, so motion made by Councilman Baidoon, supported by Councilman Ahmad. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 8C. This is with Annapolis High School. This particular one, for those on Zoom or in person here, this was an item that was walked on by Annapolis High School, and this is requested permission. I'm gonna read it so that they're aware. Annapolis High School has requested permission to hold a graduation parade on Friday, May 13th at 1:45 p.m. Police Chief Hart and Fire Chief Brogan have approved the route and will provide any services they may require. Your approval would be greatly appreciated. And this is by Mayor Bill Bazzi. And the only reason I'm reading it, I don't normally read these, is because this was not on the agenda that you would have seen online, so.
What's the route?
Council Chair,
They have the attachments in here, but I'll go ahead and read it.
Council Chair, I can just supply the copy of I can send it to you.
Okay.
You supply to what, I'm sorry? I can just make a copy for her.
Okay.
I have it right over here.
Get to the field, isn't it? From the board office to the football field.
Okay, so Councilman, want to read that, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the students from Annapolis would like to read that, so go ahead.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the Annapolis High School graduation parade on May 13th, 2022, down Annapolis Street as outlined in 8C.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Constance, supported by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussions on that?
Councilman Ahmad.
I'm sorry, Councilman Ahmad, sorry about that. I would like to just congratulate all the graduates from Annapolis High School, so good job. Any other discussions on that? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 9A. This is City Engineer Ali Deeb, street repair agreement with Hard Rock Concrete Change Order Number 1.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve a 10% unit price increase change order to Hard Rock Concrete 2020-2021 street repair agreement. In addition, approve the payment per the original scope fee and authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign the necessary warrants and treasurer to issue payments from account number 202-202-880-, as outlined in 19A, or in 9A.
Support.
Council Chair?
Okay. Yes. Well, wait, no, I just want to make sure I got to read who made the motion, who seconded it. So motion made by Councilman Muscat, seconded by Councilwoman Breyer. Is there any discussion on that?
Council Chair.
Councilman, go ahead.
I just want to let everybody know that I had a discussion with our engineer, Ali Deeb, and he broadcasted out what the schedule was previously, and he showed all the proof and documentation as I requested, and everything is good to go.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Deeb, if you don't mind, I called you and had a conversation with you about it, but I want to make sure all the council members at least hear his end of it. I had a little bit of a concern, it just raised a red flag for me when I seen that the approval has a 10% order unit price increase. And at least in my life, anytime I see any type of increase or decrease, or if somebody just gives me an estimate, they have an exact number, it always raises red flags for me. So if somebody's gonna paint my house and they say it's $10,000, it tells me they didn't calculate too much.
Don't like even numbers.
Right. It just had, so
No, I know.
I had that concern and I spoke with you, but just so that at least members of the audience and the council members can get your end of it, please.
So, Council Chair, thank you for the question. So, as we discussed, this is a unit price contract. So, meaning that this is, when we bid the project, we basically ask for unit price, like removal, pavement removal per square yard, replacement, square foot or square yard, based on 9-inch, Class A, 6-inch, curb, all that construction material. When the contract was bid back in 20, it was obviously a lot has changed since then, and we hold the contractor to the bid numbers because it was publicly bid. So we currently, and the reason we do unit price contracts is because we don't know in advance advance what our budget's going to be for each item. So we use this contract for street pavement replacement, and then every summer, in the spring, we go by and then review all the ratings on the streets and find out what, where our money can be used best. So, we take the critical, and then we divide the bid numbers by the required, and then come up with a budget. So utilize what we have approved budget. So we use the money we have every year. And that's not the same. We're currently going through budget. I mean, the numbers that we have in our approved budget for that line item varies each year. So we use the unit price contracts to complete the work. Now, the contractor didn't ask for 10. This was a negotiated number because there were things that were a lot higher than 10% and things were lower. And then we also, it's important to note that this is for unit prices. It's not for anything that is a lump sum. Lump sum will be like mobilization, traffic control, things of that nature that are needed in construction, but they're not necessary construction work. So that doesn't change. It's just for construction items. And when we agreed to the 10%, we actually compared that to what we're getting currently out in the market. So we currently bid L42, which is going to start the end of this month, and compared those numbers to what we're getting now. And we're still doing better. Renewing, accepting that was better than going back out to bid and getting today's numbers. So the contractor has given us, we believe it's a good deal to continue using the old contract and pay that as opposed to going back out on the street and get today's numbers because they have increased quite a bit.
Council Chair?
Okay.
So we don't need an AIA document change or anything?
No, sir. No, it's a unit price.
Wanted to make that
Yes,
on
sir.
record. Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll keep that, and when we get the invoices now, what we look at quantities and approve them based on once you approve the price increase.
Okay. Just, at least for those members in the audience, because as you are aware, Mr. Deep.
Yes, sir.
We get, well, when I say we, it's cities across the nation. But, there's always complaints about their street, this person's street and that person's street. Which do you, at least do you have in general, which streets primarily will be?
Well, we're still going through, so we currently, so what we do is after the last frost, so it's a freeze and thaw cycle, we go and do what we call, it's a PACER. PACER, it's a pavement assessment system, so where you rate all your streets. It's important to say that, our needs exceed our budget, so that's always the case. So we take the worst items and then we address them. But also keep in mind, going forward, the city, we're implementing capital improvement, which means that we don't totally rely on our money, on our own budget money. We're going after capital projects so we can go after federal or state infrastructure money because that will qualify. We just never did that. So we never had a capital program. So we're currently approaching that. So hopefully in the future, when we have that program in place, we can assign more of the heavy projects to capital, not to, rate and tax dollars.
Right. And as we've seen during the budget, a lot of the money comes from the, tax
So
on
you have
gasoline.
Yeah, the gasoline taxes, Act 51, yes, that covers, even with that, Council Chair, it's still, our needs exceed that. We are not unique. Every city has that same.
Well,
problem.
I know. I can't fill gas or buy a pop or buy a burger without being, pointed to a particular street.
And you look at just, so the Act 51, the gasoline money, primary roads, but you also have your city roads.
Right.
There are in the same, so we try to stretch the dollars as far as we can, but we're still looking for other sources of funds because we do have a lot of needs.
And as I mentioned during the budget meetings, I hope and pray that the administration and us as a council will continue to focus on that because the roads in our city, as a lot of other cities, I get that because I've talked to council members in other surrounding cities, it's the same type of thing. They all have the same problem. As a matter of fact, I spoke with Robert Conrad, DPW, and I'm not going to name the particular cities, but some cities that I thought were pretty good as far as their streets is concerned. He knew firsthand that they're having major problems as far as their streets and being able to repair them and having the funds to repair them. But just please keep as much focus high as you can on that. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other comments or questions to Mr. Deeb since he's up here? All right, seeing none, motion made, thank you, Director. Motion made by Councilman Muscat, supported by Councilwoman Breyer. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 9B. This is Fire Chief Brogan, purchase and payment of fire nozzles and flow meter.
Council Chair,
Councilman Baydoun.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the purchase of the nozzle and a flow meter from Apollo Fire Equipment in the amount of $9,980. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller to sign the necessary warrants and the treasurer to issue payments from the capital outlay account 101-335-981.000 upon receipt as outlined in 9B.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Baydoun, supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussions on that? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 9C. This is Ordinance Enforcement and Animal Control Director Dishrun, disposal of equipment, lettering, and markings for current ordinance vehicles.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the disposal of equipment, lettering, and markings that are currently in or on the 2017 Ordnance Department fleet vehicles. Enterprise Fleet Management will remove and dispose of all of the aforementioned items at no cost to the city upon return of the vehicles at the end of the current lease agreement as outlined in 9C.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat, supported by Councilman Ahmad. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, I had a question for Director Dishrun. Are you on, Director? I think he's on Zoom, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he is on.
Okay. And I'm looking for him here.
I
There he
just
is.
asked him to.
Okay, great. Hello, Director Dishrun. I had a question for you on this particular one. I had a little bit of a concern, and please clarify for me. The request that you're having says you're requesting permission to dispose of all equipment. Now, lettering, markings, I get that, but I'm talking about specifically equipment. What specific equipment is it? And then I will know as to where my question is, why are we disposing of it instead of keeping it or passing it on to the next car?
All right, can you hear me, Council
Yes,
Chair?
yes.
To answer your question, long story short, is all of that, there's docking stations, a couple of the vehicles have printers in them that apparently have never.
Wait, you got cut off, Bill.
Technology. And
Wait,
there's
Bill,
no-
Bill, you gotta repeat that. You got cut off. You gotta speak close to the mic,
There-
maybe.
All right, I'm trying to get as close.
Wait, I'm sorry, hold on. Actually, it's on our end. It says here your internet connection is unstable. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, so start again, please. I'm sorry.
Okay, all of the equipment that's in there, the docking stations, all the cables, all that stuff is antiquated technology, and there is no value in it. It would cost us money, about $150 to $200 per vehicle to remove it. Since there's no value, it's just recyclable stuff which has no value. It's just gonna be easier in the transition to turn it over to them. There's no value in that equipment. I actually discussed this with Tarek from Dearborn IT. He concurred with me on that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other discussions on that, 9C? All right. Hearing none, let's go ahead and take this to a vote. So motion made by Councilman Muscat, supported by Councilman Ahmad. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 9D, and this is Parks and Recreation Director Lawrencell, Richard A. Young Center's kitchen renovation change order.
Council Chair.
Councilman Ahmad.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve and change order for the Richard A. Young kitchen renovation in the amount of $6,827.80 to Lux Interiors. In addition, authorize the mayor and controller to sign the necessary warrants and the treasurer to issue payment from 2021-2022 Richard A. Young Center Capital Outlay Account 101-692-981.000 as outlined in 9-D.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad, supported by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussions on that? I had a question for Parks and Recreation Director Lawrencell, and I assume that she's on, oh, there she is. So I had a little bit of a concern on this one because, and not necessarily to use the blame game, because I realize with COVID and everything, but between the bathrooms and the kitchen, it just seems like it's almost on a somewhat of a regular basis. We keep seeing these on our agendas.
Well,
So the anticipated finish time for both of these, any updates on those?
Well, in regards to the bathroom, I have to refer that to Mr. Dibb. But in regards to the kitchen, they actually started demo yesterday.
Okay.
And they told me they could be done within 3 weeks. The problem with the kitchen was we had to wait for the wood to build the cabinets, and they finally got the last cabinet in. So we're going forward. These two things were left out by the contractor. That's why I'm coming to you.
For additional items? Okay.
Yeah.
And Mr. Dibb, on the bathrooms, just at least a quick update, please, because I know the seniors, these two are very important to them. Want to make sure we keep them happy.
I thought you were talking about the Richard A. Young
I'm
bathrooms.
sorry, Richard A. Young.
Okay, all right,
Yes.
just want to clarify.
Yes, sorry.
So we had a company today, so was it 3 companies, and we haven't been able to get a price. They assured me by the time your next meeting, it'll be in service.
Okay, beautiful.
I have one more.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Councilman.
And while you're up here, Mr. Deeb, thank you for your services. The vending machines that say, purchase at your own risk, or, were we able to?
That's different.
I mean, let's just remove the sign, get rid of the vendors. I mean, it is what it is. Sell them.
You mean the machine?
The machines, whatever it may
And
be.
I wanted to do that. I'm not sure I'm still going to be able to do that. I did have that in the budget, but we had to remove that.
Can we at least
What I
remove the
want to do is I want to replace them with vending machines that we own so that we can be in control of everything, plus you also make a lot more money for revenue. So the vending machines are definitely on my radar. And the other issue, we've been having with some of them, we haven't recently, but they put in expired stuff, so.
One other question, are we selling a lot of the actual products in there? Is it
Yes,
like
you do.
So when they say like take it in at your own risk, what does that mean?
Well, that means if they lose the money in the machine, that they don't get the money back. That's basically what that means. The machines work on the most part, but there's a lot of kids that mess around with them when they're there, trying to grab and anyway, they do have a lot of after-school activity, and that's where the issues come in with, but that definitely is on my radar, and we can do it.
Just some food for thought. What if we open up like an a la carte where those are? While we're building the counters, put some counters and sell chips, snacks and things like that, and just keep the ball moving instead of having to, use machinery.
Yeah, and that's something I can look at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Council Chair,
Councilman, go ahead.
just my question is, how come the tile and the painting were included in the original bid? Was there like different plans, or was there somebody else? Or?
I actually had them in the bid, or in the specs, but he did not realize that that was in there, so he didn't include that in his original price. They are still way lower than the next bidder, because they were like 30-some thousand, and the next bidder was like 60, I think. So
So when he submitted his bid, that was not?
he said that was not in his cost that he provided for the bid. So it was an oversight by him.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other council members, questions? Okay. Hearing none, motion made by Councilman Ahmad, seconded by Councilman Baydoun. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 11A. This is Corporation Council Miyake Resolution regarding recurring non-fee for services, non-tax revenue accountability.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council adopt a resolution regarding recurring non-fee for services, non-tax revenue accountability. This resolution ensures the procedures exist to ensure accountability and city council oversights for recurring non-fee for services, non-tax revenues as outlined in 11A.
Support. Motion made by Councilman Muscat, supported by Councilman Baydoun. Is there any discussion on that? I've got some questions on this. No? Any other council members?
Well,
No?
I was just gonna ask.
Go ahead, start.
Council Chair, if that's okay, and if we can just get a quick rundown on this, and so that, I would use the term to use synopsis on this,
Yeah.
for the residents at home.
But not in legalese. We're gonna just explain it in non-attorney terms. I was gonna have to need Mr. Murad to get up here and help us.
Right, Mr. Murad will break it down for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, upon adoption of the resolution, the mayor and the mayor's administration are to identify and compile a list of city revenues falling within the scope of the resolution. The list will also note whether the source of the revenue is in arrears to the city and for any payments owed to the city. And further, the list will provide the title of the responsible city official, namely a person who's going to be charged with making sure that we have someone who keeps track of this. And that's generally what it does. The type of revenue is not unimportant. It's not all different types of revenue. It will generally be things that are like rental payments, sublease payments, but they have to be recurring more than once. And it also sets forth procedures if there's new revenue. So if there's going to be a prospective new source of revenue, that should be included. If there's a contract that's coming to you, that should be included in the backup, so you know we're expecting to end up getting this much revenue in. And then even if there isn't something coming to you, if it's a new source of revenue, you should be made aware of that as well. And then if there ends up being an arrearage as things go along, you will end up being given notice of that as a body, along with the city clerk and the city treasurer, as long as that's been outstanding for more than 30 days, just so we don't end up having a problem with, you know, someone has one problem with the check, they didn't anticipate something, then they can cover that, and there won't end up being the need for the city to end up going through some sort of notice procedure. And finally, this is not going to prohibit the mayor, the administration, the city treasurer, and or the comptroller to adopt and implement procedures that are consistent with this resolution that address the same or similar concerns. So there can be additional details that the administration, for example, comes up with, the city treasurer comes up with, that will be complementary to this. But this will give this body the ability to have notice if there's going to end up being an arrearage, so we don't end up having some problem that's going on that you don't know about.
So as we currently speak right now, I'm sorry, Councilman. As we currently speak right now, we would be referencing Elite Sports, for example, from Beach Daily and Ford Road, and Warren Valley Golf Course. Is there any other entities that would apply to this as we speak today?
Sure.
Which ones?
The Wayne County Prosecutor, and actually Wayne County has a sublease in the Justice Center. Yeah. It would also apply to licenses, which is something that people might not think about. But like if there is a recurring use of the library for certain purposes, where there's recurring payments to end up using it, Parks and Recreation Department facilities. So again, it's not a one-time payment. Like if someone pays, I don't know, $1,000 to end up using certain premises over a one-year period, and it's paid in, you know, up in advance. It has to be something that would be recurring. So if someone comes in and they're a club and they regularly end up using something at the Berwyn Center and they're paying for it, that would be something where they would have an obligation to end up, namely the administration would have an obligation to let this body know and let the treasurer know and let the city clerk know, just so that we have transparency and we don't have people getting hugely behind without this body knowing.
Well, obviously, based on previous administrations, and I think, you know, we didn't do historical, it probably goes back to probably 60s, 70s, and 80s, and 90s, et cetera, et cetera. So unfortunately, there's been no system in the city for this to make sure that there's checks and balances. So at least I'm glad that we have something like this happening so that it does not happen again, because unfortunately, it was not a good situation, because there was, you know, a lot of finger pointing, but we never got to the bottom as far as why some payments were not made. Now, question to you is, after how many payments per entity are they under obligation to inform us that something's not been paid?
Well, basically, it's, and I have to make sure I have the notice. It is, I believe, after 30 days. Let me make sure I'm taking getting the right language here, because there's 30-day periods throughout this document.
Right.
So, okay, this duty shall be triggered whenever a payment is late by more than one calendar month The duty shall continue to apply, A, on a monthly anniversary of the first such payment that was late and has yet to be paid in full, and until the rearage is paid in full or otherwise eliminated. So you'd get an ongoing notice, like, you know, so-and-so did not end up paying October rent. So-and-so did not pay October and November rent. And that way you would have a notion of, you know, whether or not they're regularly late, or, you know, whether or not they make up for the payments, or whether or not it's no longer a problem.
And would it be at our discretion as a council body to make the next decision from there? Or is it just gonna be FYI, so-and-so is late 60 days or 30 days?
It's actually, most of this is something that would be taken care of by the administration.
Okay.
All right, because the administration is the executive branch, has that obligation. But that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be able to end up taking a step, for example, like, you know, directing me to end up researching how we can end up addressing this and coming back with recommendations if there was some sort of ongoing problem.
Okay.
So this body would not have an automatic ability to end up doing something, but rather with the information could end up deciding on a course of action that it sees fit.
Okay, thank you. Councilman McLeod.
I think this is a great resolution. I think addressing a wall of shame for those who don't pay the city is amazing, and thank you for the transparency to the mayor, and I think a corporation council will bring this forward here to us.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Any other discussion items on item 11A? All right, seeing none. Motion made by Councilman Muscat, seconded by Councilman Baydun. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 13A. This is business license renewal applications.
Council Chair.
Councilman Constant.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council renew the business license for Applebee's located at 26582 Ford Road in Dearborn Heights in Fairlane Eagles. Number 361 located at 20738 Van Born in Dearborn Heights is outlined in 13A.
Okay.
Support.
Motion made by Councilman Constant, supported by Councilman Ahmad. Is there any discussions on that? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is members of the public. Before we start with them, we have comments from council members. I have two, Mr. Mayor. Number one, I do know that we have a closed session coming up, and this is with Mayor Bazey, Chief of Staff Hernandez, Human Resource Director Hazlitt, in regards to labor discussion. But at least for those in the audience, residents, newspapers, et cetera, what can you tell us? And I realize that some of this stuff is closed session stuff, and I realize we're gonna get a little bit more information later, but at least an update with what you can legally tell us as far as what's going on with labor relations. And the reason I'm asking is because unfortunately, sometimes people start to think, because they hear nothing, that nothing's happened. So I would like to have an update, and I'm sure people in the audience would like to have an update, please.
Okay, so for the contracts, we've had several meetings in the last couple weeks since the last council meeting. And just up to, I think today or yesterday, we had a meeting with the carpenters union. So we had, a few days back, we had a meeting with dispatchers. So we are meeting with union team for the contracts right now. And you'll hear more of in-depth discussions at the closed session.
Okay, and for those in the audience and on Zoom, just to give you, anything with labor negotiations, you know, fortunately or unfortunately, these are negotiations, so they can't get into the specific details. But I'm stating this so that well, I can't speak on behalf of all of us, but I've had discussions with many council members. As, of course, people in the city, we want this thing to continue to move forward as quickly as possible and hopefully get this resolved for all parties involved. The second question I had for you, Mayor, is I received some emails and calls and then just general comments at different places. There's some very serious concerns in regards to the golf course not having been opened as of yet and what the current status on it is. So with that being the case, so that, as you are aware, I was kind of a little concerned about potential for rumors to start flying around. And I will state it again, this is the second council meeting that I will state it again. Nothing on my behalf as a council chair, nothing on behalf of any council members or the mayor, at least that I'm aware of, or anybody's aware of, any type of discussion as far as it not being a golf course. So it is a golf course and will be a golf course. So that's fact. I'm stating it publicly. But with that being the case, there's been some residents that have had concerns about why it has not opened up yet. And I know you shed some light on that last time, but can you give us an update on that, as specific as you can? And I know they had some concerns about the grass cutting, et cetera, and then there's been some emails, as I'm sure you've received some too.
Okay, so we had a company that was supposed to come back and turn the pumps on, but the times they were scheduled to come in, obviously, they can't just come overnight. You know, there's a schedule that they have to put, you know, on their calendar. So both times, or maybe 3 times, it was drizzling or raining, so they couldn't come in, because obviously with the issue that I mentioned earlier with one of the pumps being disconnected with the wires, so we need a good dry day to fire up that one pump in particular. But we are scheduled to have a company come in, I think, in the next couple of days to come in and fire up the pumps. And there's soot on the inlet of the pumps, so that's something we have to look at, so that a professional company has to come in and look at it. We definitely don't want to burn the pumps if there's something on the inlet coming in. So with they did submit today a counter offer for the golf course, and we probably have to sit down with them again this Friday to start putting more language in the contract. They did come back and they put more positive things for the contract, especially for the banquet. So for the golf course, as I mentioned, some of the council members that reached out, I tell you the same thing, that we are going to put a little bit of investments in the cart path. You know, I know several council members came and looked at the golf course a few days ago, and they looked at some of the cart paths, some of the areas. I'm not comfortable having any seniors or anybody going on the cart path some areas because of liability issues, somebody tripping. There's one part of the cart path is actually washing into the river. So we have to fix that before we make them operational. And again, you know, several council members looked at that and they were very concerned about that. And also the 2 bathrooms on the golf course. So we are going to we have to make an investment on the cart path and also on the 2 bathrooms. And we are going to have a meeting here in the next few days, couple days with the concessionaire. And the concessionaire actually also agreed on, under good faith, to pay a company to come in and start mowing the grass by Friday.
You said at their expense?
Yes, at their own expense.
Good.
They're just acting under good faith. They wanted to do that just to show how serious they are. So they are going to cut the grass by the end of this week.
Okay. And just to, again, squelch all rumors, because I'm getting these rumor calls, and honestly, I just get irritated because sometimes they're started by people who have different agendas. The golf course is not sold. The golf course is not on the market. The golf course is not being built on as far as houses are concerned. There's no intentions for houses. It will be a golf course. It is a golf course. It will be open, but there's a lot of stuff that still has to be addressed that was not anticipated by the administration or by the gentleman that's taken over the golf course. And so until these are done, then the golf course will be open. The golf course will be open as a golf course. And I hate to state it in such English, but honestly, I'm just getting irritated as to, and whoever they are, shame on you. I'll just say it publicly. Shame on you for spreading these types of rumors, including, this was a funny one where I was called and said it was sold for $7.2 million. And I said, it cannot be sold unless it goes through city council. So how is it sold where nobody knew about it? I mean, if they did that, that's funny that it can happen. So these types of rumors are flying around, and honestly, if you love your city, stop. I mean, that is just, it's just bad for the golf course, bad for the city, And I'm speaking firsthand, in total transparent, there's not been a single comment or conversation about anything but a golf course. So it will continue to be a golf course. Please, let's put that to rest and stop with the rumors.
Council Chair.
Councilman, go ahead.
I'll start with that one, okay? I went to the golf course along with Nancy Breyer. I took pictures. I have pictures. I can be glad to share them with anyone. And I pride myself on being a maintenance-oriented person. I did it for a living, and I'm not the best, but I'm definitely not the worst. And from what I seen, there was no maintenance, not for 6 months or a year or 2 years. There was no maintenance there for a number of years, 4, 5, 6 years, okay? And if anyone wants to challenge me on that, come right ahead. I have my facts, okay? The golf course was poorly run, and I can guarantee you, after walking through that kitchen, not one wet rag ever hit that commercial-grade stove that was there.
It's gone.
Well, too bad it's gone, because that needed to be on display. There was never a wet rag that touched that. I guarantee it, okay? But anyway, I'm gonna get off that subject. My next subject is I was traveling through the city today, traveling down Warren and Joy Road. Warren has businesses that are putting up these sandwich boards all along on city property. Doesn't look good, and they needs to be stopped. The weeds and the looks of everything along Joy Road, Beach Daily, are horrible. We might as well just live, not pay city tax to be in a city. We should have some sort of rural tax, because it's like living out in the country with all the dandelions everywhere. I'm just ashamed that people walk out of their homes and let their houses look like this. It's mind-boggling to me. I see some of these homes that are worth $500,000, $600,000, and their grass is cut, the weeds are there, but they don't trim. I even saw Crestwood High School today, and I know that's not belong to the city, but the fire hydrant out in front of City Hall, or in front of Crestwood High School, you almost can't see it. They're not trimming it. Okay? So, if you drive down Hass, right on the corner of Beach Daily and Hass, right on the corner, the house is horrible. And we drive by it every day. How is that not being ticketed? Shrubbery that's 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 feet tall. I'm just appalled that people, I see these complaints on social media about the city, but yet I drove by some of these people's homes. You might as well not complain. I tell you that right now. Don't complain. Second is complaints about rats, mostly in the south end. I don't know what we can and can't do about that. It's something that we may have to get a hold of and have a meeting with ordinance and maybe DPW along with building engineering, find out what we can do about the rats that people are complaining about. And the other number one issue, the complaints that I'm getting, is our trash pickup is not doing what they're supposed to do. I asked last time for them to come in so we can speak to the management there. I want them in here. They need to explain to me what's going on, where people have videos of them dropping trash, the yard waste in the street, the bags break, and they don't even make an attempt to pick it up. I'm not gonna pay for something like that. We shouldn't pay for anything like that. The service is not free. So if they want it to be free, then they can do that, but it's not free. It's costing us, the taxpayers, a lot of money. So I'm here requesting to the administration, to the council chair, please call in priority management and having them come before city council, maybe for a half hour or so before a city council meeting, and we can discuss to them the problems that we're having. The citizens of this city deserve much, much better for the amount of money they're paying. Thank you.
Okay, I can tell you, Councilman, I spoke with, and I'm blanking on his name right now.
Paul,
thank you. And I had a long conversation with him, and there was some emails, of course, with the mayor too involved with that, and he realizes the issues and conditions, and they're working on, because they're brand new to the city, they're working on systems to make sure that the T's are crossed and I's are dotted, and he realizes and understands that there's an issue, but he's, according to what he told me, he's all over it. But I will contact him, see if I can bring him in for a study session.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, I tried to cut them a break the first few, maybe even the first month here, because they were new to the city and they had to get their routes down pat. But when people see them throwing lamps, big tall lamps, that are supposed to be put in to recycling, put them in with the yard waste that bags break and just leave it on the street without intention of picking up. There's no learning curve on that. Those guys should know what their job is.
The only X factor that I could add to that is in my 8 years on council, we've seen 3 companies so far. And to this date, between those 3 companies and probably multiple cities that I've talked to with other companies, it just seems like that type of a business in general, you're always gonna have somebody that's not gonna be satisfied.
Yeah, but I tell you.
Because when you have 23 to 24,000 pickups in the city of Dearborn Heights, obviously everyone, and I'm not justifying it, I'm just saying, every once in a while, something's gonna be not done maybe to perfection, but I'll bring them in here. I had probably about a good 30-minute conversation with them about the questions, concerns, et cetera, and he did tell me they've spoken multiple times with the administration on that.
I want them
So
here.
he's on it.
I want them here.
I will schedule them.
The citizens deserve to hear from them.
No problem, I will schedule them.
Thank you.
Any other council members?
Council Chair?
Councilman Ahmad, then Councilman Constant.
Thank you, Council Chair. Just want to add to whatever Councilman Muscat said. I mean, I believe somebody emailed us today too, and I think you emailed the company and
Right.
they emailed right back. So
Right.
I think they're on top of the stuff, but hopefully, I mean, their service would be as well. Beside the bad news, I think I would like to mention that there's so many businesses opening in the city, which is like, myself, I think the past couple of weeks, I attended about 3 or 4 grand openings, which means a lot of investors, they believe in our city. They're trying to invest in our city. So hopefully, I'm hoping that all the residents would invest back in those local businesses, because I think it's something good coming up. Also, I'd like to wish, it was Mother's Day last Sunday. I'd like to wish every mother in the city a happy Mother's Day. And also, it's Nurse Appreciation Week. So just want to mention that I do appreciate all the medical nurses, especially my wife. She's a nurse as well, and wish them the best. Thank you,
Thanks for
Council
making
Chair.
me look bad.
Is she a nurse too?
Thank you, I appreciate that. When I get home, I'll suffer the consequences.
No dinner for you.
We have a lot of stuff in common, Councilman.
Councilman Constance next.
Thank you,
Councilman Constant, just before you go, I just want to add one more thing on the golf course thing, so I don't forget. I was at an event, last weekend, and I spoke, the mayor was there, and I spoke myself and the mayor about that. And this was at Shenandoah Golf Club or Golf Course, whatever you want to call it.
Banquet.
Country Club, thank you, and banquet. And I just want to let the audience know, the mayor keeps mentioning he wants a world-class operation. And Mr. Issa, who took over, is taking over, hopefully the golf course is right there. And I just want to let you guys know, while having the conversation with the mayor about that, the mayor pointed out, and I'll tell you guys, it's beautiful over there, that's his vision. That's his vision for this particular golf course. And there was things there such as, a pool for the residents, there's a workout area, there's a nice banquet facility, beautiful circular driveway, great grounds, so the parking lot doesn't look like it's had bombs go off in it. I could just tell you, for the vision for the city, for me, for all the council members, of course, the others that were there, this is hopefully our vision. I know it's gonna cost a lot of money, I know it's not gonna be for free, but at least that's our goal. And I'm sure one day we'll be there and it'll be running as the mayor keeps saying, a world-class golf course. So thank you.
I'm sorry, is he agreeing that he's gonna visit?
Sorry?
Is he gonna visit Shenandoah?
If you know anything about Mr. Issa, things will be done right. I know his businesses, things will be done right. They could rest
Mr. Issa's
assured.
got bigger visions for it.
So Councilman Constant and Councilman Baidoon, and then Councilwoman Breyer. That's Councilman.
Thank you, Council Chair. Last Saturday, we had the Ecorse Creek cleanup at the Richard A. Young Center. Thank you to everyone who participated. Councilman Wenzel helped organize everything, and of course, our chair, Barb Gorka, who's going to be retiring. And especially thank you to Mrs. Johns from Crestwood High School, the science teacher. She always does a great job. She brings the Crestwood High School honor students and they were there and did a lot of work and learned a lot and enjoyed themselves, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Next is Councilman Baydun. You all
Mrs.
set?
Breyer first.
Councilwoman Breyer.
I'll
All
be
right, I
next.
want to piggyback on a couple of Ray's remarks in regards to the blight type situation and the garbage pickup. I had people call from Hopkins. I checked all 3 streets, Annapolis, Hopkins, and Lehigh, that were missed 1 week for their recycle, and the next week they were missed for their yard waste. And so I realized it was only the second and third week, but that's not acceptable. And as far as the golf course, the day we looked with Mr. Isa and others, we're not going to open that till it looks better. He has a reputation of perfection, and he wants to do great things, and we can't do anything like that with the condition it's in right now. So as we've stated, it will remain a golf course, but it's going to look a lot better. And then I have one other thing. I talked to a young businessman over on Van Born near Beach Daily by CVS. And we have residents who are actually dumping trash in the back of his building and into the creek. And this is not acceptable. I have pictures. There were at least 12 big black plastic bags filled with home renovation material and just junk that should not be anywhere near our creek.
That is terrible.
So,
Been a problem for years.
and this gentleman has had people bothering him to the point that he's had to install cameras, sirens, lights, and he's had people going into his business, destroying it before he can get it off the ground. So we need better help from our police department, and neighbors who see it should report it.
Hopefully, it's not people from Dearborn Heights.
Yeah, it's not young kids either, it's adults.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councilwoman.
One piggyback real
Go
quick.
ahead.
Just talking about the blight situation, when I was traveling down Wilson today between Beach Daily and Wilson, there was a couple, gotta be in their 80s, out there sweeping the street out in front of their house. Their house is impeccable. I'm ashamed of my house, the way their house looks. And here are 2 80-year-old people doing that, and I see households that got young kids in their teens. Come on, folks, let's act together and clean up this city. It's not just the city's fault, it's our fault too.
Thank you. Councilman Baydun.
Thank you, Council Chair, and I'm just going to read a text message that I received from a resident. I told her that I would read this during public comments, and she said it was okay to give her first name, to
Wait,
give her last name.
if you could do me a favor on that, because that's going to be 2 rows down, so we'll, is it a public comment or is it your comment?
It is, well, I can speak on it, but I'll do it then.
Yeah, it's probably
Okay,
best
that's
to
fine.
do that. Okay.
And then just to piggyback on a couple of things here regarding the blight that's happening. For the residents at home that are watching, remember that as the weather breaks, please upkeep with your homes. I know I've been reaching out to Director Disham, who I emailed yesterday at 10 p.m. and then this morning at 8:30 a.m. and then I walked into his office around 2 p.m. So I can tell you that the men and women in the ordinance department are doing the work. Secondly, I know as the weather starts to break, we're gonna start seeing some rain. I know we've been seeing some rain. I know Mr. Deeb and I have several conversations on this. I do not want to see what happened with the 100-year storm happen again this year. Whatever it takes for us as a city to investigate and what we need to do to prevent floodings into people's basements, let's stay on top of that. Just to also piggyback off of Mr. Councilman Ahmad over here, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers across the city. It was my wife's Mother's Day debut this year, so it was exciting. Congratulations to my good friend, Ron Murad. I know you're gonna do, fantastic work here in the city. Congratulations to the entire 78 Commission, and to Mr. Crandwell on his retirement. I promise you guys are gonna love Ron Murad, Ryan Murad, however we wanna go with it. And as far as the golf course goes, to the council chair, Shenandoah looked beautiful. I'm sure when Mr. Isso's done with it, it's gonna look even better. Shenandoah is one thing, the city of Dearborn Heights is an even better thing. When I had the conversation with Mr. Issa, and I told him, hey, I love what the Dearborn Country Club looked like. He said, Mo, envision the Dearborn Country Club times 10. So if it's anything like his businesses, I'm sure he's gonna put the best of the best into the golf course there. And then without any further ado, I go ahead and close out my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments from council members? Okay. Okay, hearing none. Next is from the administration. Any comments from anybody in the
Council Chair?
administration?
Council Chair?
Then we have the mayor and then the treasurer. Go ahead.
So, we do have a sweep letter that went out to part of the city. So we're gonna start doing the sweep
Nice.
on the 20th. And again, you know, I echo what you said about rumors. There's a lot of rumors out there, you know, and just people trying to cause, you know, chaos in the city. This sweep is requested, you know, by a lot of residents that actually wanted it, and I've gotten a lot of feedbacks myself and also Mr. Dishram, that this is long overdue. They did have a sweep to be scheduled back in 2016, but it was never done, according to some of the residents that I talked to. So this sweep is gonna be throughout the whole city, but we are gonna start with the Tifa district, and that's the most complaints that we're getting is in that district. And a lot of residents, they're very positive, they want it done. As you mentioned earlier, the issues with the rats. You can't correct the rat issues unless you get, you take care of the garbage, make sure the garbage is stowed in the bins, not outside in the backyard or the side of the house. So we are gonna hit it hard on the 20th. The sweep's gonna get every ordinance officer in that area. And once we're done with that area, we gotta pick another area and just go through the whole entire city. And the whole city is gonna be swept this summer. And we are gonna clean up the city, and as I mentioned, you know, over a year ago, that was a vision to make sure that the entire city is clean. And talking about priority waste, you know, I know that you and I had that discussion, also had the regional manager, he's here almost every day, if not every other day, to discuss some of the issues. They do take it very seriously, and even the owners called me several times in the last month, wanted to make sure that everything's okay. And one of the things that they're actually doing is they're installing cameras in their trucks to make sure if I call, which already happened, somebody called in and said truck so-and-so did such and such thing. And they actually went to the truck and there was no issues. And it was just somebody just calling in. And again, you know, there's a lot of rumors out there, and we did verify there was not an issue that was reported at the time. So they do have some concerns, and they are working on it, especially with yard waste. You know, especially the month of May, that's when it's the heaviest. And it's like that in every city. But they are working on a resolution, and I will invite them. I'll talk to Paul in the next, maybe tomorrow, and see if whatever schedule you guys want him to come in, I'm sure he'll come in to discuss this. And one of the things that they're actually doing is they want to start a commission, priority waste commission for this. They've done it in other cities, but they want to do something in Dearborn Heights. I have several candidates already, but if you know of any candidates that want to be on the commission, it's not a city commission, but it's a priority waste commission, but they want us to submit names for that commission.
I nominate Mr. Councilman Muscat.
Yeah. Well, he has to nominate himself. But if you guys have anybody that's interested, you know, reach out to my office.
I'll reach out to you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Boom.
Councilman Muscat is too shy, though. That's the only thing is, I'm not sure if he's the right guy.
Oh, he's not that shy.
I'll work on him.
I got a couple calls from him. He's not shy.
Yeah, I'll work on him. I'll work on him. Okay, and then just for clarification, because I know stuff was flying around, the sweep will be in the north, south,
It's gonna be
east,
the Tifa
and west,
district.
correct?
All
I
the
don't know, it's
Tifa
starting
district.
there, but it will be eventually
It's
throughout
gonna be
the city.
the whole
Thank you.
entire city. So we're taking it one sector at a time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next up is our treasurer, Lisa X. Clayton.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, and Madam Clerk. I wanted to give you a quick update on taxes. So we are working on the summer tax roll, and of course, your next meeting, you'll vote on the millages, vote them up or down and then we plug that in. But what I wanted to tell you is that we've been listening to you in Treasury, and we are changing the formatting. I had mentioned this during the budget discussion, but I wanted to share it publicly so the public knows, and I want to revisit it. So we're changing the formatting of the tax bills. What we're going to do is those millages, right now they're lumped together. We want to itemize them out on the actual bill itself. So residents will be able to see exactly what they're paying for Act 345, for pension, for fire and police, what they're paying for sanitation, what they're paying for public safety by the millages that you approve. So they'll be able to see that itemized out.
Thank you, Treasurer. That's
You're
been
welcome.
my wish for a long time.
Yes, we listen to you. The other thing I want to tell you, and this is a bolder step that your treasurer's office, that we're working on with BSNA, it is the goal to get it operational, up and running by the time we mail out those bills on July 1st. And that is at point of entry when a bill comes in, a tax bill, that money for Act 345 or whatever will be separated at point of entry when the bill is being paid, through the window, through the mail, when we receipt it in. And I think that's really important to note, because that way you know that that millage money that's restricted is not being commingled in general fund. Okay, so that's a step we're taking to address that issue. It's a bold step, but we wanted to itemize it out and separate it at point of entry, and that way it goes into its prospective accounts. So that is the update from your treasurer's office.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer. Anybody else from administration? Come on up.
Hi.
Kim?
I just want to remind, yes, I want to remind everybody about the Spirit Festival coming up June 8th through the 12th, and I hope that we see all of you there. I will be getting a flyer to you probably within the next couple of days. I'm still waiting for one more piece of the puzzle, and then you'll have all the information and can decide which days you're going to attend.
Great. Thank you, Kim. Anybody else from administration? Okay, seeing none. Next up is public comments. At this particular point, you have a right to a public comment, 3 minutes. And then please state your name, city, and street name.
Public announcement.
There, we already did that. Do you have one announcement or no? Okay, yeah, we already did that. Okay, so anybody from the public? So, yeah, but just state if you're reading it as a council person or as you're reading it on behalf of a resident.
I'm reading it on behalf of a resident.
Go ahead.
You want me to go over there, or?
No, that's fine.
Okay,
3 minutes.
okay.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay, so I'm reading on behalf of, do I have to state my address at home, or? Well, I can tell you her name is Sue, and she lives on Amboy Street in the city of Dearborn Heights.
Perfect.
So I'm just gonna read it verbatim. This is Sue on Amboy. You do not need to answer me, bug me. Please make note and bring this concern at the council meeting for checking the sewer and water infrastructure. Ever since last July, our neighbors, multiple ones, which I'm sure you're aware of, are getting water from under the walls up through the storm drains places that they never had water come in before. And it happens every time there's ever an inch or two of rain. This is not normal. Is it possible that some people may have made renovations to their basement and capped off their main drain lines that should not be capped off of flowing the water further up in the water tables to place? It has never been an issue, or maybe there are pipes leaking underground or something, but I'm trying to help multiple neighbors figure out how to keep their basements dry. I've lived here since 1990. This was never a problem. Something has been done. This is a recruiting water, and it continues to raise. Thank you. And then I went on and said, hey, Sue, how are you? Well, I have your number stored. I know something is up. This happens often, but, we're seeing traditional rains that are non-traditional, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And I let her know that I would address it here. I let her know, I believe I contacted Mr. Deeb, so he's aware that I was gonna read this tonight. I was gonna address it. He said he will have an answer for us.
Perfect.
So it's not that he doesn't know about this, he was on it.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so two things. One, to answer residents, no, we haven't done anything in terms of closing gates and allowing more water to back into private properties. That's never the case. I can assure you, I've heard people
She's
that
asking if
swore.
residents are capping while they're doing construction.
But
Not
if
the
that
city.
was the case, no, I understand, but I also heard that in terms of storm water,
Yes.
to manage storm system, we have capped gates and allowed, to restrict water from going into city systems. And I can assure you that's not the case. Now, that's not to say that capacity, we're dumping a lot more capacity than our systems, storm-wise, can handle in case of a heavy rain event. We are currently, at the direction of the mayor, we're approaching communities outside of our city as well as the state. Now we are in touch with the state to look at the regional problem with the storm management. That is the capacity of the regional system, because we're getting a lot of water from outside our city. So there is no way that we can increase our storm pipe capacity to accommodate flow that's coming to us from Oakland County. The watershed is large, so we're making that a regional issue. So SEMCOG, I'm on that group now, and the state is listening, and they're taking it to the next level. So what we wanted to do is to try to get an approach, a statewide, a regional approach, and the suggestion was 2 weeks ago to the state was to look at it as, not as a community, but to look at it as a watershed. So we take like Ecorse Creek watershed, you take the Rouge, and look at the communities that share that watershed and look at it that way. And then we don't mind paying our share, but I can't be responsible for trying to accommodate runoff of other communities into our system. We happen to be downstream, right? So people like on upstream, take the Ecorse Creek, like Romulus and people upstream, they really don't care because it's not affecting them. It's by the time it gets to the people downstream from them is when the effects work. So we're trying to approach it that way. Now, in terms of the sanitary capacity, that's a different issue. If you have done renovations, normally when you do a renovation with a permit, our inspectors will check that, make sure that you have done what you needed to do. Now, if and what we noticed lately is some of the really large homes, the single tap to sanitary may not be enough. When you have 7,000 square feet, a single 6-inch will not be enough. So we're working now and trying to make that a requirement. We didn't have that in the past, but you go to a property and you remove a 2,000 square foot house with 2 bathrooms and a kitchen, and you put a 7,000 square foot home. I know yesterday we spent the day on Elder Drive with these monsters homes, and I can tell you, even water taps, I wouldn't even trust one single 5/8. It's a large piece of property. It's a large home. I mean, it's simple. So we're looking at our standards, even for the sewers. A 6-incher standard 6 may not do it.
Excuse me 1 second. With Mr. Baydoun and the person in question here, I myself had the same problem with water coming up between my wall and my floor of stormwater.
Okay.
And with the help of Mr. Blackburn, who recommended someone to come and look at it, I'm doing my preventative maintenance on my home as far as making sure that my wall was structurally sound, which it wasn't, and I had repaired.
Okay.
And, these older homes have a weak tile around, and if your sanitary drain isn't clean all the way, you gotta get it routed out and camera to make sure it's not broken. And I had backwater flow preventers put in and a sump pump, and I'm hoping to God that is what I needed. So I'm doing all the preventative maintenance that I can, but we can't stop the rain, like you said, and we can't stop other communities from dumping here without paying their fair share.
So if your house was built before 1975, we have footing drains is what they're called.
Correct.
Footing drains are no longer allowed.
Right. They put some pumps in automatic.
Right. Footing drains are not allowed because they dump all that rainwater into the sanitary system, which then the sanitary treatment plants are not able to accommodate, because the sanitary treatment plants will take your water consumption from our billing folks and bill you for sanitary. But when you have these footing drains, you're just sending rainwater to the treatment plants that is not accounted for. And that is, that's a problem. But we can't do much about the pre-1975, but going forward, you're right. There are a lot of things that you can do. The best recommendation we tell people, and you're correct, Councilman, is preventative maintenance. Don't assume that your lateral tap is in working order. Actually check it. It's a good investment. $75 to $100 is not much currently to make sure that your tap is clear and
Just hoping that this works now.
Yes,
so.
sir. I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Deeb.
Yes, sir.
Councilor, go ahead.
Yes, Councilman Baydoun, did this individual indicate whether or not she had contacted the city with respect to these problems, as opposed to yourself?
No, she said she has, since last July. So she just brought it up to me as well again.
Okay, because I'm just curious as to whether or not the city has had an opportunity, and when I say that, I'm talking the city administration is an opportunity to actually evaluate some of these issues, and not just her assessment of these issues, which can end up being problematic because there may be some issue that she's not aware of, and then Mr. Deeb or someone else has not actually had an opportunity to look at it professionally. My sense would be to circulate that
Well, I
information
did. I
to
brought it
Mr.
up
Deeb.
to Mr. Deeb as soon as I heard from him.
Okay.
Yeah, but who was it brought up to before within the administration? Did she indicate?
No, it wasn't brought up. I'm
I
not
thought you
saying.
said last year.
With that,
Right.
there's a problem with Rick.
You got it.
Yeah, if they could.
I just, she emailed me over the weekend. I said, I will read your, what you said at the council meeting, the public comments, she said.
Right, because we have certain obligations under the law that possibly could apply. I'm not saying that they do. But if they do apply, then we need to be given some clear notice, and I wouldn't want the city to kind of be in this ambiguous situation where she's giving you information, but the information hasn't come into the administration to be fully evaluated.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Deeb.
you,
Any other public comments? Come on up, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Zohair Abdelhaq, Dearborn Heights.
Street name?
354 Rosemary.
I have to ask. Thank you.
Okay, I have 3 issues. I don't know, I came late. If you have spoken about it, please let me know. I disregard it.
Okay.
Motion 22-130, which you made concerning the golf course. You ask the administration to bring back contract which is written and discussed on the next city council meeting. This was a couple months ago or months and a half ago. Now, did anybody ask for extension? Did the council give an extension? Because if you're not, you are in violation of your own resolution. You did not follow up on what you voted for. So,
Okay. So the mayor did address the golf course and the final, second phase of the negotiations a little bit earlier.
okay, because I hope that, we're working with Mr. Wissam because he needs to open the golf course if we can this year.
Right.
Okay. The second thing, the raises for the general government.
Okay, that was also addressed.
I will make a suggestion.
Sure.
I know you did, but we have close to $2 million in overtime. We cannot say we don't have money to give those people increases. You can take small portion from the overtime, which will not affect in any way, shape, or form the pension or the salaries or anything, and you can give these people a portion of that money because they deserve it, and we should address that. Now, I hear from lots of people that our roads are in miserable condition. We all agree on it. And I heard last meeting about the budget, there was $1.7 million, I think, left from last year in major streets. If I'm mistaken, maybe Mr. Dave can correct me. I don't understand. We have $1.7 million and we have holes all over the city. I hope that we will address this as soon as possible and use that money, because people are losing their tires, losing their suspensions, and it looks not that nice for our city.
Yeah, we addressed it during budgets, and again, addressed and reiterated again to the director, Mr. Deeb, to the controller over there, and everybody involved, the total focus on street repair. The only X factor right now, there's no debate as far as getting it done. The only thing we're still trying to figure out is getting additional funding for it.
I think
And the key word is additional.
we should start on something. There are roads like Cherry Hill, it's in miserable condition.
That's Wayne County.
Look at,
Is it? Part of it is ours, but the problem with that is we have Inkster that we have to deal with. Part of it belongs to them.
South
And if
End.
they don't do theirs, I don't see how we're gonna do
at
ours.
least, Councilman, we can fill the holes with little asphalt. Okay, so we don't leave them full of
I agree
water
with
or
you.
dirt, or somebody lose their tires or their suspensions.
Sure. So DPW
Now-
directors on there, Robert Conrad, Mr. Deeb is over here. So between the two of them, they're making the coordinations on the streets. And then Mr. Controller here, our money man, has got that as far as the focus to get that. And then all of us council members, I'm speaking, at least for myself included, and I'm sure the mayor too, we're all over as far as trying to figure out a solution to this. But this is a multiple cities throughout the community have the same type of problem. I've talked to different council members and mayors, including at the event that we were at about a week ago, and that's unfortunately a continuous problem for
I
all.
understand, Council Chair, it's just we have money, let's use it, and
Absolutely.
we'll wait. When we get extra fundings, we do some other portions, but
There's
see
no-
where is our priority in the city, and let's go after it.
There's no
I don't want to wait when I have extra funding. I can wait forever. We have $1.7 million that can do lots of repairs in the city.
Sure.
So I suggest, please, Mr. Mayor, if you can work on it, I appreciate it. Now, I hear too that some departments are not coming to work, they get taken sick days and things like that. I would like to exercise our options. If some departments are not working accordingly to what needs to be done in the city, let's try our options with contracting this out to some private companies and see if they can do the job better and for less money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul-Haq. Any other public comments from members of the audience or on Zoom? Come on up. And the gentleman asked for an extra minute, and I've authorized that, so. Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, my name is Ron Frenzy, live on Fairwood here in Dearborn Heights, and I have two matters, both on trees. And the first matter has to do with a neighbor. One of my neighbors put up a brand-new porch, which is really nice. But what's bad is it's closer to one of his huge sycamore trees between the sidewalk and curb. And one branch is probably about 30 feet long, is now over this brand-new porch. Well, isn't a problem before, but now it's a problem because he built this nice porch. So I wondered if he wants to know if that could be trimmed. And there's a second branch that's maybe 15 feet, if that could just be trimmed a little bit.
Okay, so I'll ask you a generic answer, not on that specific thing. On any item that any resident has, I, as a council chair myself, I'm all for transparency and accessibility. As the clerk's office knows, I'm working on even more accessibility, having these meetings it's being looked into by the clerks and our IT team via Facebook, maybe directly on YouTube, or maybe directly on the website. So there's all kinds of things for accessibility and transparency. But at the same time, for some of the residents, and I'm not talking about you specifically, but in general, you got to start at the city level first. So did you address this with anybody in the ordinance department or anything like that? Because if it starts with us, we as council members, we have the legislative part of the city, therefore we make rules and laws. But as far as who implements them, you got to go directly, like in this particular case, it would be to ordinance, or maybe building, or maybe DPW, depends on a particular thing.
So give me a name of a person I should contact, or a phone number.
So your concern is that what do you call it, the porch is too big, or is your concern the tree?
The porch is fine, but now the branch on the tree is over the porch.
Is that on city property?
It's on city, the tree is on city property between the sidewalk and curb.
Well,
Okay, the mayor's going to answer you.
well, I mean, he's addressing another resident, so the resident that has the issue needs to come to the city hall or call the city hall.
Correct.
So we can't address an issue from another resident for another resident. One of the things we need to look at, if they build something, we need to see if they have a permit to build something. And if our building department has inspected that structure, knowing that there's a branch right above it. So this is something we need to look at. So I'd like to get the address, or if the
I've got it right
resident
here.
can call the address for the house. And we do have to look at that. That's a concern, that they built something, just to make sure they do have a permit for it.
Council Chair,
Okay, so mayor will help you look into that.
Council Chair.
Wait, hold on one second.
Just
Let me
like-
just make sure if he has any other.
Well, no, to
Okay, go
reiterate
on.
what you said, you know, most of the time, or all the time, really, I tell the people, make sure you call the proper department. In this case, it would be DPW about trimming a tree. If and then you can't get anything resolved, then you can come and see us, and maybe we can try to help you out and see what we can do. But we can't just, I can't get on the phone and call the DPW and say, hey, go out there and cut that branch off. It's not our it's not our role to do that. All I can do is help you if things go sour. Like we did with that one tree that was leaning, that we got cut down on Fairwood that one time. But try to call the proper directors, in this case, DPW first.
Okay.
And I'd like to add on there, since you mentioned that, Councilman, Facebook is not a department of City Hall.
Yeah.
So when a resident has an issue or a challenge or a concern or whatever, something that needs to be done, I mean, you're welcome, of course, do whatever you want on Facebook, don't misunderstand me. But that is not the starting point. Contact the department to do not, and I'm not referencing you.
I'm not on Facebook.
No. Again, I'm not referencing you. But for a lot of residents, they put on all their complaints on Facebook. Well, that's not going to get nothing done. Definitely contact the particular department so that they can start working on it. And you can comment whatever you want on Facebook, but, and again, not you. Work with the departments. I'm just making it clear that Facebook is not one of our city departments.
Okay. And the second thing is, back on August 11th last year, I had a city tree that fell down, and the city cut it up, which is fine. But now it's been 9 months, and there's a stump there, and nothing's been done. So on April 26th, I did what you're requesting. So on April 26th, I called DPW to have my stump needs to be removed, and I was told by a senior member of the DPW that he would look into it and he would call me. He never did. Also, I was told by some senior people that my stump is actually on a list of stumps to be ground up, and it would soon be taken care of. So I called Dearborn Tree on May 6th, a couple days ago, and they told me I'm not on the list. Why? There is no list.
So,
Okay.
So
So one second, let's allow the, let's say something
yeah,
quick.
so it's relatable. I want you to know that I spoke with the DPW director, because you brought this up
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. I
Right.
want you to know, and the list is astronomical, very few.
They told me there's no list.
So Dearborn Trees doesn't have the list, DPW does have a list.
Okay.
So just because we don't give the list to, so the addresses are given, hey, go take these, take on these tree stumps, and they'll go out there. Dearborn Trees doesn't have the actual list that the city is holding and maintaining. So as the city goes, they'll cut through, Dearborn Trees will say, hey, we took care of the 10 that you sent us, give us the next 10. And I'll tell you that I can relate to this because my parents' home waited almost a year on the tree stump. Eventually, it was done and a tree was planted. But I want you to know that there is, like I know we've had this, conversation with the mayor. There are so many trees that were just trimmed over the last year or two. And now these trees are waiting to be stumped to the ground and replanted. But there's such a list. that I can tell you, I promise you, and the DPW director, I'm sure can tell you this, they will get to your tree stump. It's not gonna stay like that.
Couldn't
And
the city-
if it's been a year, I hate to say this, as terrible as it sounds, and it's probably not the answer that you're looking for, but my parents waited, I want to say about a year and a half. And if this coming week, I'm sorry, a couple of weeks ago, they actually went out and did it. I know it's not the answer that you're looking for. I know that we want things, streamlined and expedited as soon as possible, but in just, certain circumstances, that's just not.
Couldn't they call me and tell me where I am on this big list?
Maybe, and that I can't
will-
comment on.
What I will do, sir, Ron, is that Ron? What I'll do is, I know Robert Conrad is on there, Director Robert Conrad from DPW. If you could do me a favor, the mayor will send you the phone number. I'm not gonna have you say it publicly, but the mayor will send you the phone number to the resident. If you could do me a favor, if you could have somebody from within your department at least get back with the resident and help them work on this particular issue as soon as possible. Robert, can you at least come on just to let us know you heard this? You there? There he is.
Yes, Dave. Yeah, I do apologize for the long list, but that comes with, the DPW working hard to get as many trees removed as they can. So, yeah, I assure you that there is a list that the DPW maintains, and just as it was stated, we don't give Dearborn Tree the entire list. Because we want to hear back when they get things completed, because we have to go out and clean up some of the chips, and, kind of clean up the lawn a little bit after they're done. They're just there to stump. So, yeah, I can have my folks look at the list and get back with the resident.
And the
as to
mayor's
where
got,
he's on
the
list.
the mayor's got the phone number, Director.
Okay.
Okay. We'll make sure they contact you back, Ron.
Any chance the city, since there's such a long list, I guess, any chance the city could hire a second or a third company to do the work?
Everything is possible as we go through budgets. The want items, Ron, are 3 different million want items between different directors and different departments and different residents and different council members and the mayor. But the budget available is quite a bit less, so we have to sometimes prioritize. But that's definitely something that will probably be taken into consideration. I have spoken with Director Conrad about that, and we also had that specific discussion as far as the need for a little bit more human resources, more employees, more resources, et cetera, to that particular department. It's definitely being looked into.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Ron. Anybody else from the public as far as public comments is concerned? Come on up.
Hello, Rachel LaPointe, Merrick Street, Dearborn Heights. I just have 2 questions real quick for the mayor. Mr. Mayor, can you please let me know the reason why my husband, Christopher LaPointe, was blocked by you on Facebook?
That's personal, Council Chair.
No,
Wait,
no,
sorry.
it is relevant.
Well, no, again, I'm not gonna sit here and discuss my personal Facebook. It is my personal Facebook, and I have the right to make sure that nobody puts misleading information to the residents.
I'm sorry, did my husband do that?
Excuse me,
Okay, well,
No, I'm just clarifying if
again,
that's
I'm
the
not gonna
reason you're
address,
saying.
Council Chair, I'm not addressing this issue right now. This is my personal Facebook, and it says
All
that
right,
on
thank
there.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
I'll get back with you on that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other residents? Okay, seeing none. Anybody on Facebook? I see one. I'm sorry, not on Facebook. I already said that's not a department. Okay.
This guy loves Facebook.
Yeah, no, not me.
I have Amber.
Anyway, so, Madam Clerk, go ahead.
I have Amber.
Go ahead, Amber.
I have.
I'll get it, yeah.
You're gonna-
Okay,
3
go ahead,
minutes or
Amber.
2
Can you unmute yourself, please?
She's, oh,
You'll have 3 minutes. 3.
Okay.
Amber?
there she goes. Nope.
All right, Amber, we're going to come back to you. I'm going to give you one more chance. Okay, you haven't unmuted. So we're going to go next to Leslie Windless. Leslie, are you on? Can you unmute, please? There we go.
Yep, I'm here.
You got 3 minutes. Go ahead. Please state
hear me?
name, city, and street.
Can you hear me, Dave?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My name's Leslie Windless. I live on Annapolis Street in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, 48125. So I've asked countless times since January, but most recently about 2 city council meetings ago, for the city council to appoint someone to the vacant CCRC position so that we can conduct business. I find it extremely disheartening and disappointing that the appointment was not on the last agenda and it was not on this one. I've heard almost each of you publicly speak highly about this commission and your support, so I would appreciate it if your actions aligned with your words. You have had several residents reach out to you and express interest in joining the commission, so please just pick one of them and ensure it is on the May 24th agenda.
Okay.
Next,
Wait, so if you
can
do
you
me a
pause
favor,
my time
Leslie.
if you're about to?
No, it'll be
today?
paused, absolutely.
Okay.
So if you do me a favor, Leslie, forward to me the potential candidates, if you have a list of them, or Latanya, I'm not sure who's got the list, and I will personally make sure that's on the next agenda for the council members to vote on.
Okay, thank you for that. So my next issue is we've been advocating for training and written processes or protocols to follow as a commission for about 2 years now. I understand that the city changes controllers faster than they can introduce them, but it's still unacceptable that we were just informed today that our events have to be approved at city council meetings. This untimely disclosure of a new city process may cause us to lose our bounce house, our zip line, and our water cage for our second annual Juneteenth festival, which is just a little over a month away. These are funds that are 100% raised by the commission. It is not taxpayer money that is being held at this moment. Please ensure that anything you need to be approved is on your 524 agenda, as we have been publicly discussing this event since November of 2021. There is really no excuse for us to be receiving surprises a month before the event when it's time to pay for invoices.
Okay, so Leslie, so I can make sure whoever it is that sent you that can answer as far as what happened and why. Who was it that sent you that email? You said it was an email?
David Sabuda.
Okay.
Sabuda.
Mr. Sabuda, can you do me a
Council Chair.
favor? Can you come on up for a sec?
What? Council Chair?
Yes.
Okay, I did talk to Leslie earlier today. So the charter obviously talks about the $1,500 limit that we've been talking about this for a long time to increase that. And because one portion, there's 2 separate receipts that we have to reimburse. One of them is over $1,500. So we are going to issue, we're in a process of issuing 2 checks. However, we still have to put on an agenda at the next meeting. So they are going to issue 2 checks. One is going to be over the $1,500, but then the council has to approve it at the next meeting. But the check will be issued.
Am I allowed to respond to that?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so the second check that's over the $1,500, that is not what is in the email that I have in front of me. What is said is that it will be added to the 524 agenda and that the event itself needs to be approved at city council.
No.
Now, this is the second time that we've had this event. None of our events have ever been approved at city council, including the one we just had in March, where almost everyone here was present at that event. So again, this feels like a new process, which we shouldn't be having to deal with on something that is the second time we're having the event.
Okay. Leslie, I'm going to have our interim controller, he's up here at the podium to answer you, but did you have any other additional questions, or is that it?
I just had the one last concern.
Go ahead,
that I
before
need
Mr.
to
Sabuda.
read.
Go ahead.
But go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead, Leslie. Do your last concern, and we'll make sure you get all your answers.
Okay, last, the varsity head baseball coach for Dearborn Heights, Robichaud High School, attended our meeting and expressed concerns about a team not receiving effective or equitable communication from Mr. Mackey regarding using the elite sports field for their home games. They are currently playing on an unsafe field with 12 games left in the season. We should be supporting these children like we would if they were from Questwood or District 7 school districts. And that's it for me.
Okay, so on that, obviously, we are not, because that's not us specifically directly. But hey, if you can, Leslie, if you could contact Mr. Mackey directly, and if not, email me, I'll send you his number, or I'll have him call you if you'd like, if you email me your number.
Yeah, can you have him call?
Okay, I'm not gonna, honestly, by running this meeting, I'm not gonna remember, so email me to
I'll text
have him
you.
call you, and I'll make sure he calls you 100%.
Okay, thank you, I'll text you.
Okay, you know what? The mayor just said he'll reach out to Mr. Mackey tomorrow and make sure that Mr. Mackey contacts you. I'm sure Mr. Mackey will be okay with helping you coordinate that. He's all on board as far as, not only a lot of the city services, but definitely when you add on there seniors or kids, he's all in. So I'm sure he'll do everything he can to help you out with that. And the mayor said he'll make sure Mr. Mackey contacts you on that. But in regards to your other question, Mr. Sabuda, our interim controller, is going to go ahead and answer that question for you. Go ahead, Mr. Sabuda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to make it very clear that the email that I sent to Ms. Winless was that we recommended, the key word here is recommended, that before the events would start, that they would get permission from the city council. Not only this group, but any group. It is recommended that before an event is put on, that they seek permission from the city council to put that event on. That's what the email said. It was not a mandatory requirement at all. It was a recommendation. Second of all, when we received both invoices, there were two invoices, one for $500, another one for $3,500, approximately. Don't have it right in front of me. But at the end of the day, what is happening here is this group has not fundraised or has enough in their account to pay for both bills at this time. So
We do have enough money to
Wait,
pay
I'm
for
sorry.
both bills.
Leslie, if you could do me a favor, I'm sorry, and I will allow you to answer, no problem. But let's allow him to finish first.
And the email is very clear in that if funds are in transit, to please let us know. But right now, I am concerned that if we make the deposit on the second invoice, that there will not be the funds to pay the balance of that invoice off. So we're making it very clear upfront prior to the event that right now we're still short a couple nickels, and we're interested in where those nickels are before we make the balance of the payment. So we're working with this group. We're making sure that funds are available and that they have a successful event. And that's what I have here at this time, sir.
Okay, so let's allow her. Leslie, you said you had if you could stay up there, Mr. Sabuda, if you don't mind, she had an additional comment. I want to make sure she has the right.
And that's like
Go ahead.
one of the biggest issues that I have with trying to communicate with the city on anything. The two invoices, we only need to pay the deposit on one of them, and the deposit on one of them is half of the $3,500 bill.
Right.
The other half of it is not going to be in the CCRC account because it is not the responsibility of the CCRC to pay the other half. All of this information is publicly discussed. It's in our minutes. This person, Mr. David, didn't even know that we were a commission with the city. He questioned whether we were a legitimate city commission and said that we had to go through Kim in Parks and Recs, which we never went through Kim or talked to Kim. I don't have a problem following any of the 1,000 rules that anyone decides to make up. However, like I said, this is not our first event. We've done at least 10 of them, and none of them have followed this.
We lost her.
And we will follow whatever it is the city wants us to do.
Okay. Thank you, Leslie. Mr. Sabuda, you had an answer to that?
Finally, there's been no communication to my office as to whether there's another group paying for the balance of that bill. So at this point in time, where I'm at right now is this group is responsible for this portion of the bill until somebody sends me something that says somebody else is paying for this. And that would be most helpful. And that in general was part of the communication. Again, I had asked in my communication to this group that they let us know if there was something in transit that hadn't reached us yet, specifically cash that would be sitting with the treasurer that hadn't been posted yet. But if you have information that someone else is paying the bill, excellent. Send it to me and we can move forward from there, sir.
I did tell you that in the email. I told you that the organization that will be paying for the other half of the bill, and actually is paying for the majority of the event, is From the Hood for the Hood, which is a nonprofit organization. I also offered to give you their nonprofit code. This information is already provided to the city. They already know who's paying for the event. The CCRC is just paying for the deposit of the bounce house, water cage, and paying for the photographer. That is the only thing that the CCRC is responsible for this event.
Okay. So Leslie, unfortunately, time is up, but.
Thank you.
Mr. Sabuda, do you mind if Leslie contacts you tomorrow? Look, it's maybe I'm a little too old school, but sometimes when you go back and forth with emails, nothing gets resolved. Let's have an old-fashioned, old school, either phone conversation or face-to-face to clear up all these issues.
Mr. Chair, I want to make it very clear in all my emails, I had stated that I put my telephone number on the email, and I made it very clear that they could either, again, email me or contact me via phone if they wanted to. That's on each and every email.
Okay, beautiful. So Leslie, can you please contact Mr. Sabuda, and he'd be more than happy to discuss this with you and get this all to a resolution.
The only thing I asked you to do is make sure that it's on the agenda on May 24th. Sorry.
Yeah, send me the potential candidates, and I'll see if any other council members here have any potential candidates. I'll make sure and put it on the agenda for you, And then
Sorry,
us as a
Dave, I
body will,
think you missed the part, I meant the festival. Can you make sure the festival is
Oh,
on the agenda to approve the
festival,
festival?
I'm sorry. Okay,
Yes.
so are you talking about an agenda as per Mr. Sabuta's request? Recommendation. Okay. Okay, no problem. Send something to the clerk's office, they'll send it to me, and I'll go ahead and approve it to be put on the agenda. I mean, I gotta look at it, but more like I'll approve
Okay.
it to be put on the agenda.
Send it to Lynn.
Yeah, that's fine, perfect. Lynn or Dana?
Thank you.
God
No
bless
problem,
you all.
thank you. Thank you, Leslie. Anybody else on Zoom? Well, we'll go back now to Amber. Amber, can you unmute yourself, please? You're
Here she-
muted?
No. I asked her.
Amber, you're still muted.
I keep
And we can see on Zoom you're attempting to do something, but you're not unmuting. So Amber, I'm gonna give you just a few, I'm gonna see if there's anybody else on there, but I'm gonna give you a few extra seconds, maybe log off and log back in. Maybe that might help because we see something going on your end, but it's not unmuting.
Can you ask her to, show her camera to see if maybe it's where she can hear us?
Yeah, well, maybe she
Or
doesn't
lower
want to be
your
on
hand,
camera.
something,
Maybe she doesn't
so we
want
know
to
that
be.
you.
It looked like she did, and then it went right back on.
Yeah. Okay, so Amber, is there anybody else on
I do have
Zoom?
one more. I do have.
Vince, is that your hand up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Vince, go ahead, and we'll come back to Amber one last time. Go ahead, Zen. Go ahead, Vince. Street name,
Hey,
city?
Mr. Council. Pardon me?
Street name and city, please.
Oh, yeah, Vince Trepkowski, Columbia Street, Dearborn Heights, Michigan, Wayne County. Mr. Chair and maybe Mr. Mayor and the directors, excuse me, sorry. Can we get rid of the antiquated system for when you call TPW for service, that you get some sort of service number that you can track for your phone call or your request for service, and get rid of this antiquated system? Well, I called 6 weeks ago, I talked to somebody, and nothing is happening. Get a call for service number, a confirmation number. That way you can track your service, something, instead of all this written down on a list somewhere. Is that possible? I mean, let's, get into the.
I mean, administration is listening to you. You got Robert Conrad on here listening to you, and of course, you got the mayor
I
listening to you.
think that's a
so-
great idea.
I do know they have something online that you can keep track of it, but I'm not sure the phone
Well,
system.
no, I mean, yeah, I could probably get my 10-year-old nephew to write something on the computer.
You
There's
froze,
gotta be a
Vin.
maintenance program system out there that's already developed.
Okay.
Use it. Buy it.
Mr. Conrad is on there, and he hears what you're saying, and administration's hear that, so hopefully they could look into that. Was there anything else,
Okay,
Vince?
thank you.
Thank you, Vince.
That's it.
And one
Have a
last
good day,
time
guys.
for Amber, is she still on there, or is she
Yeah,
gone?
wait a minute. Hold on 1 second. She got back in, and then she dropped out. She just joined again.
She joined again, you said?
Yeah, I just had to find her now.
While we're holding for Amber, I wanted to congratulate Mr. Hassan Jamal. I was on a phone call with him, and he's got a couple different grants that he's working on, including some he's already received, and a pretty major one coming into the city. So I just want to commend him on a job well done for continuing to work on different grants coming into the city.
He's a great guy, believe me.
Yes, he is.
Very knowledgeable human being.
Council Chair Amber
Yes.
should be unmuted.
Okay, Amber, are you unmuted?
I'm unmuted.
Here we go.
I hit unmute 1,000 times and it kept saying the host would not allow it, so I don't know.
It's
what's going
okay. We're glad you're on. Please go
Okay.
ahead.
My name is Amber O'Shea. I live on Gertrude Street. I've lived there for many years. We had a feral cat colony live on our street for probably about 15 years. More so recently, we got a new neighbor who has a problem with the feral cat colony, who has been calling animal control on a daily basis. Animal control shows up every day with traps. Animal control removed one of the cats. I spoke to them. They said that they were going to be part of a TNR program and that they would go up for adoption, if not go to a barn, Michigan Humane Society, et cetera, et cetera. Cat never went up for adoption. Cat never came back to the neighborhood. Why are we attacking the feral cats? We should be applauding them. They're doing our city a service.
Okay? That I can't personally answer, but our ordinance director is on there. Mr. Disharoon, can you please unmute yourself and help the resident, please?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, she can.
I have no knowledge of what she's referring to with respect to that particular case. We don't generally trap cats because there's so many. It just depends on the time of the season. If she would like to contact me in the morning directly, it would probably be better to do it that way so I can find out who exactly was out there and what the situation was.
I can send him video evidence, pictures, whatever he should need.
Okay, Amber, why don't you give me a call tomorrow in the office? I'll give you
And
my
what is your
number.
name?
My name's Bill Disharoon,
Okay,
and I'm the Director of Police Enforcement Animal Control.
okay.
My number is 313-791-3478.
Okay,
Give me a call tomorrow, okay?
absolutely.
And if I don't answer, just leave a voicemail and I'll call you back.
You got it.
Okay, thank you very much, Bill. Thank you very much, Amber. Was your question?
Thank you.
I know you're gonna deal with it tomorrow with Mr. Disharoon. I'm sure he'll help you solve the
Yes.
situation.
If not, I'll see you in 2 weeks. How about that?
Sounds great. No problem. We'd be
Have a
glad to
wonderful
help.
night.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else on, okay, Mr. Jamal? Now you're in the public comment section. I just complimented you here, but go ahead.
3 minutes.
You got 3 minutes. And I need you, before you start, Mr. Jamal, as I ask every city official, are you speaking as a resident or just a public? Or are you speaking as a official of the city?
I am the Director of Community and Economic Development Department of the City of Dearborn Heights. FEMA is under my responsibility in that department, the FEMA grants, specifically the ones with the acquisition, demolition for the flooded homes along the site of the Ecost Creek. At the same time, I am the ex officio appointed by the mayor for the Ecost Creek Commission. And we are following, the creek flooding issue. Thank you for stating that. The $530,000, that was the last batch. It's the last batch of a grant that the city had since 2016. We were able to extend that, working together with the other staff in the city, Ali Deeb, Chief of Staff Mariana, and that is with the leadership of the mayor, and all we worked with the state police to extend that for 1 more year. First time in the history of Michigan that FEMA will extend a grant more than 5 years. So we were able to utilize so far about $1.3 million, and we are in the final steps. Probably by end of the week, I will request reimbursement for that grant because we are trying to close that grant that actually took some time to be reimbursed. But thank you for mentioning that. We have another grant for 20 homes along the creek, which is about $3.2 million. They are in the final stage of approval by those will be seeing them beginning of next fiscal year.
Okay, you got disconnected, Mr. Jamal, you got disconnected when you said it was 3.2 million by, and then you got disconnected.
Approved by who?
Approved by FEMA. By FEMA and Michigan State Police. Thank you, Mr. Baidoun, for the 30 seconds. I'm trying. I'm not adding anything other than what's necessary for the public to know. There's a lot of people are anxious about this program, waiting for years to get their homes, bought by FEMA with the city assistance of 25% that you approved back in March for us. The new FEMA grant will be 90% reimbursement, not 75% reimbursement. At the same time, we are working with the FEMA and Michigan State Police alongside with Mr. Deeb in the mayor's office, specifically the chief of staff, helping us with administrative, work process. And we will be working also with Wade Trim, advancing about $20 million, grant to look into what we can do with the city sewer system, stormwater.
Thank you.
Will be due engineering programs that FEMA is supporting. Michigan State Police supporting us tremendously. We will be working with the county. So between my department, between the engineering department, between the mayor's office, your support, we will be getting a lot of FEMA, I hope, to try to help the city. Those are already being applied for. They are on record. It's just a follow-up because they need a lot of engineering.
Thank you, Director.
Analysis. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And have a great day.
Thank you, Director. And I'd just like to reiterate again that with my conversation with Mr. Hassan Jamal, he mentioned to me that these particular grants are going to be at 90% by FEMA and only 10% by us as a city. So I just want to commend him and his department for working on this and having much less money come out of us and more from FEMA. So thank you for working on that, Mr.
Mr. Jamal, I just want you to know that Councilman Pro Tem Muscat insisted that I was holding it during your time of speaking. I'm not sure why. I just want you to know that I was just the guinea pig that they chose.
He knows why.
So with respect, I want you to know I was just doing as Councilman Muscat and Councilman Dave Abdullah told me to do.
Okay, anybody else on Zoom that has any public comments? Okay, seeing none here in the audience. The next section on our agenda is a closed session now.
Council Chair.
Before we go into that.
Move to adjourn?
No, not adjourning. 1 second. So we're going into a closed session on labor discussion. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is at this particular point, when we go into a closed session, the only thing we're going to be coming back for is just to adjourn because there's no more business, no more city council business. And the only reason I'm mentioning that and the reason we put it like that, so that this way residents don't have to wait half hour, 2 hours, depends on how long it takes us, only to find out we're going to say move to adjourn. So I'm giving you guys at least a heads up. You're welcome to stay. Nice, cool room here. It's hot outside and on Zoom, if this is what you enjoy, go for it. But I'm just letting you know that when we do come back, it will just be adjournment and it'll be the end of the meeting because the business part of our city council is completed.
Council Chair, I move that we go into closed session.
Support.
Okay, motion to go into a closed session by Councilman Muscat, supported by Councilman Baydoun. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The
Council
ayes
Chair.
have it, motion carried.
Council Chair, we have to do a roll call vote on that.
Sorry?
We have to do a roll call vote on
Okay,
that.
so Madam Clerk, can you please take roll call?
Dave Abdallah,
Yes.
Hassan Ahmad,
Yes.
Mo Beydoun,
Yes.
Nancy Breyer,
Yes.
Robert Constant,
Yes.
Ray Muscat.
Yes.
And Tom Wenzel.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you very much. We will now go into a closed session, come back, and then at that particular point, we will move to adjourn. Thank you.
Council Chair, I move we close session and return to open session.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ray Muscat to move out of a closed session, move into an open session, supported by Councilman Ahmad. And now motion to adjourn.
Council Chair.
Well, you got to vote.
Okay, so all in favor, you want to take roll call? No roll call. Okay, so all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Council Chair, I move to adjourn the regular meeting.
Support.
Support.
Motion adjourned by Councilman Ray Muscat, supported by Councilman Mo Beydoun. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it.
At 9:52.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen, at 9:53 PM.
See you Thursday.